What's up, guys and dolls? If things look a little different today, it is because they are. My camera is deceased, dead, gone, bon voyage, in the grave, 6 feet under. But anyways, despite my camera dilemma, I wanted to do a video for you guys today on a lot of the questions that I personally had about Paris before I visited, because I did the vlog for you guys, but you really didn't get to know much about, I guess, the customs and all that comes with visiting Paris if you've never gone before. I kind of just showed you the places that I went and I didn't really talk about them. And as I was doing my research, I had like a lot of questions about different things, you know, money and what's going to be open and are there different customs that you need to follow, blah, blah, blah. All that jazz. I was finding that a lot of the answers to the questions that I personally had were nowhere to be found online. I mean, you can find general information about any given place online, but there are a few questions that I noticed for every destination that I've been to have not been answered online, and I kind of just had to figure it out as I went, and when I got there, I had to figure it out on my own. And so I wanted to do kind of informative videos for you if you've never been to Paris or any of the other locations that I do visit. So sit back, buckle up, buckle in, buckle up, and let's get to this ride. I'm sorry that I do that. I really should stop. I'm sorry. Okay, so this video might be all over the place because there's several things that I want to touch on, but I really don't have a particular order to put them in. So I guess we will start first with their subway system, because that's the first thing that comes to mind when I think about Paris and my trip there. It was not difficult to navigate around the city, especially if you've been to New York before, because the subway system works almost exactly the same as New York. But it differs in the fact that in Paris there are so many freaking tunnels. It is ridiculous. Let's just say for each tunnel there is down in the subway system, there is 2 more tunnels splitting off from the main tunnel. And then 2 more tunnels splitting off on each of those tunnels. And what's confusing about them is that they all lead different ways. Each tunnel goes to a different station and a different direction in Paris. So you've got all these tunnels and you're trying to navigate in a city that you're unfamiliar with and a country that you're unfamiliar with. And the thing that makes it hard is that a lot of the people that are using the subway are the locals in France. And the locals don't speak very good English, if at all. So your best bet here is to try and find someone that looks like they're from the United States or someone that speaks English. You can't be afraid to reach out to somebody for help. While we are on the reoccurring subject of people not speaking English in France, it's good to know that a good majority of their population does not speak English. Of course, this changes when you're around the tourist attractions, because of course the people in and around the tourist attractions are going to be able to understand you, and a lot of them do speak English. But if you're, you know, in areas off exploring, or you need help in the subway system, or even just at the freaking airport, like I said, you know, it's going to be kind of hard to find someone few and far in between that speaks English. But the reason I bring up their metro system is because that is the method that I chose to use to get around Paris, because number one, it's cheaper, and number two, it might seem difficult to navigate in the beginning, but once you get the hang of it, you're saving so much money, and it will get you everywhere that you need to go. It will get you from point A to point B. You can see the Eiffel Tower from there. You can see the catacombs from there. Any tourist attraction that you're looking for, there is a stop for it. Oh, and on that note, while we're talking about transportation, I wanted to bring up the airport briefly. I'm just gonna abbreviate the name of the airport because I don't honestly know how to pronounce it. And even if I do try and pronounce it, I'm probably gonna pronounce it wrong either way. So if you're flying into the CDG airport, just keep in mind the amount of time it's going to take for you to get into the city. It takes anywhere from an hour to 2 hours to get from the airport into the city. And this can pose a problem several different ways if you aren't accounting for that. It's difficult to navigate their airport. It doesn't seem like it because if you look at it on their airport map, it's almost like it's just a big circle. But we've been to several different airports in our lifetime, and I haven't really come across one I got so confused in. And just finding our way out of the airport was rough enough, much less finding how to get into the city was another puppy to battle. I don't know. Okay, hold on, pause. Puppy to wrestle? Is that what I just said? So a good plan of action to have is to figure out how you are getting into the city. Our dilemma came when we got there and realized that there was a strike going on for the train workers. So that made everything way more challenging than it probably would have normally been. But we still managed to get around without any issues, really. I honestly think we ended up spending like a good 2 or 3 hours just trying to get out of the airport. And at one point I was just like, you know what, let's just take a Uber into the city. And when I looked it up, the Uber costs like, I don't know, $60 to get into the city center. But then just as I was getting ready to call for an Uber, we saw the city bus pulling into the bus station. And it did take about an hour and 15 minutes by bus to get into the city. But overall, instead of spending $60 on an Uber to get to the middle of Paris, we ended up spending, I think it translated to like $2 US. Another thing I kind of wanted to throw in here, if you are interested in doing a lot of the tourist attractions, which I mean, I wouldn't blame you if you do because it is Paris. But if you do plan on doing a lot of the main attractions in Paris, it's a very, very good idea to get skip the line tickets. Trust me, you will kick yourself in the butt if you do not. So if there's an attraction you do want to see, most definitely look into if that is available, if that's an option for you, because I don't think all of the attractions offer that. But this is something good to do and something good to know. You will read all over the internet that Paris is notorious for their waiting queues for their tourist attractions. It's outrageous how long you'll wait for something. Like, I couldn't imagine how long we would have actually waited for the catacombs had we not gotten the skip the line tickets. On that note, if you're trying to save money, it's better to pick and choose which attractions you do because there are just so many different things to see in Paris. It's crazy. And not all of them are really worth the value of your money. I mean, it's Paris, it's beautiful, but not all of them are worth, you know, blowing buckets and buckets of money on. Like, for one, the first thing that comes to my mind about Paris is the Louvre. And I don't know if I pronounced that right, but who cares, right? Moving on. That is one of their most infamous museums. It's the museum that has the Mona Lisa in it, and it's absolutely gorgeous. But if you don't have time, I would recommend skipping it because this place is gigantic. It all varies on your taste and what you want to do, but whatever you decide to do, my friends, skip the line. Another thing to note, if you are a big breakfast eater like myself, that's not a thing in Paris, so keep that in mind when you're going on your travel endeavors. I was really grumpy most mornings because in Paris, their breakfast is just a tiny little palm-sized croissant and a little shot of espresso. That's their breakfast in Paris. So I was struggling every morning to get the energy I needed to get up and get going. Anyways, that's all that I really have for you guys. If there are any questions about Paris, if you've never been, I will be happy to answer them to the best of my knowledge. All right, well, love ya. Bye. Actually, not a lot. Okay, I'll wait till you pass because that's rude. It's okay. It's not like I was recording anything important. Are flying into the Charles, I don't know how to say that. Action to have is noting